Hey everyone, we're live. It's Arsenal Fan Circle. I hope everybody is doing well tonight. I've got Alonso and Sam here with me tonight. Welcome in, gents.
Hey guys, how you doing tonight? How's it going, Ray? How's it going, Sam?
Hi Alonso, hi Ray, thanks for having me. Hi everyone in the chat.
Doing
It's going to
good.
be a good one.
Doing good. I hope everybody's doing well after, in the end, a 3-0 win over the little old Irish team that the land that I come from, that I hail from, Dundalk. But yeah, it was a good win. Want to give a shout out to Tony. He may not be joining us tonight because he's actually had a ice storm as a consequence of that hurricane. So he had some power out yesterday. Don't know if he's going to join us, and I think Gary may join us a little bit later, but this can be a nice, tight podcast. We'll do about 60, 70 minutes. And first off, Sam, let's talk about the Europa League and let's talk about what we saw tonight. I was when I set this up, I was thinking about the young players and they need to step up and actually start tapping Mikel Arteta on the shoulder and say, what's up? Can I get a game for the league? So certainly did that tonight, I think, some of the players.
Yeah, I think we saw some decent performances tonight. We saw, I think, a lot of wholesale changes in the squad as we expected against a team like Dundalk. I don't think we'd be making, taking any chances with any of our best players because it's just, it's a low risk game. You shouldn't really be risking players in a game like this. But yeah, I mean, so we played, something with Reece Nelson, Willock. We saw Ainsley Maitland-Niles take a left back position or a left wing back position. We saw some of the younger kids come in, and I think they did well. I think overall they played well. We got a decent result. We created a few chances, a lot more than we've been creating lately, which you would expect against Dundalk as well, to be honest. But at the end of the day, it's a job well done. We've done what we came to do. Some people will probably complain we didn't score more goals. We had chances to, but 3-0 at the end of the day, it's a clean sheet. We got to see the second goalkeeper, the backup goalkeeper as well, Runa Son in goal. I thought he had a decent game. And clean sheet 3-0. It's a victory. I think you've got to be pleased with the result, really, overall.
Absolutely, I'm going to say I'm gassed about it, but it is the Europa League. Gassed in the sense that we've took the monkey off our back and got a couple of wins here. But I want to give a few shout outs to a few people. Melina's back. Thanks, Melina, for joining us again. Steve Benham. Good evening, and good to see Sam back. Sam is a regular on Thursday nights. As long as he doesn't fall asleep, and the hour, you've gained an hour back on the US here, Sam, because we're 4 hours behind you now, so it's a little bit earlier in the evening or morning, right? Eleni had a not so bad game today. However, Eddie, on the other hand, was extremely poor, missed easy chances. That's true, but what I like about Eddie and Ketty as well, and big up Alonso as well. He sort of admitted here in the private chat he didn't get to see the game, so we're going to get through the Europa League and then we'll get into other stuff that Alonso will be able to talk about. He saw the last 10 minutes of it, but the thing with Eddie and Nketiah is he's a fox. He's the fox in the box that we wanted. He's tenacious in there.
Yeah. See, the thing for me is I don't think he really suits the style we're playing at the moment because for me he's a poacher. He's more that towing the front line poacher type of guy. He's not really going to drop deep and connect with midfield and like link up with midfield. He's a type of guy he's going to be picking up the rebounds from the goalkeeper like he basically did today, right? Yeah. He's going to be picking up those little deflections that come out from a defender in the box. He like you say, he's a fox in the box. He's a poacher. He's not a forward who links up with the midfield. So if we're playing Nketiah, we have to play to that style. We have to put crosses in that he can meet inside the box somewhere. We can't really link up with him because we lose him in that play then and he becomes non-existent. So And at the end of the day, he also misses some chances as well. He scored, but still misses some chances. And but he's still young. He's still 19 now. Still, or has he moved on to 20? I'm not sure, but he's still very young. He's still learning his trade, and he's still a good finisher. So I think we're going to see more from him going forward. I think he's worth keeping. And overall, I thought he didn't have his best of games today. He wasn't our best player on the pitch today by far, but he had a decent game.
Yeah, fire up them likes. Smash the like button. As Mahir usually says, if you breathe oxygen, if you walk on two legs, fire up those likes, hit the like button. And I was talking to Mahir earlier, Sam. He wanted nothing less than a 5-0, 4 or 5-0 win, but 3 was not bad at the end of the day. Shout out to Alex from Cannon Fodder as well, and Brownie's here as well. The Assembled and Steve Denham. I agree, Sam and Ketty not easy on the eye. Listen, man in the match from Alex, I would go for Willock, Joe Willock. What did you think, Sam?
I agree. I thought Willock had a good game today. I thought he was the best out of. I think a few players had a decent game today, but I think Willock was just ahead above the others. I think he had a good drive with the ball. You saw him make some nice dribbles, through the ranks. He could break through a player or two, create a chance or two. You could see he was a good creative force today, with the ball, and he also scored that nice goal. You got to give him credit there. It was a nice goal he scored as well. It was a deflected shot that Pepe had that sort of bounced into his path, but he still had to finish it well from about 15 yards or so, 14, 15 yards, and it was a nice shot. He took it very well, placed it very well, and overall, I think he looked good on the ball. He looked like, for me, a lot of people discredit him and don't like Willock because he hasn't really been great in the chances again because he's been asked to play so deep. He hasn't really been able to play as high up on the pitch as he did today.
And on the right side, yeah.
And for me, when he's playing higher up the pitch, he gets to take these more attacking positions. He's far better. And for me, he is a real contender in our current squad. He's a real contender with Emil Smith-Rowe to maybe play that position in behind the forwards there, if he wants to use that role. I was a bit disappointed not to see Smith-Rowe today. He wasn't in the squad. I think he's still not quite match fit yet. I'd love to have seen him in the squad today and maybe even start the game. But yeah, when Smith-Rowe's not there, then Willock is the type of guy who's going to have to step into that position and do it. And I thought he had a very good game today.
Yeah, and maybe I can bring Alonso in a little bit on this Willock question. Willock is a player that I've been interested in for a couple of seasons now. Ever since he scored a couple of goals in the FA Cup at Blackpool, I think he's always been that kind of player. You can't coach the natural instinct of a player to get into the box and to get on the end of things. And in our midfield, Alonso, I'll go to you, Alonso. In our midfield, we don't have players who can break into the box and score goals.
Yeah, so I remember last year he scored against Liverpool, and he scored at Carter against a very good Liverpool team, which was their B team, but still, it was still a pretty impressive shot. And I think he has the ability to get those balls to go in and step through into the forwards. And so I think his league play is very important. And I forgot who he scored against in the league last year during the restart, but it was quite impressive how he was focused on that goal.
Southampton.
Yeah. And so I think that he was very impressive in the number 10 role, but he didn't play that opposition. So I just hope that Arteta gives us a chance to play that behind the forwards. And
yeah, we're really crying out for that, Sam, to have that creative player in midfield. Whether we play 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, we're going to need that midfielder breaking into the box to help Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe score goals and create things.
We need a midfielder in a more attacking position, very close to the attack. Until now it's been too disjointed. There's been too much distance between the attacking players and the deep lying midfield players, and asking the likes of Partey, Xhaka, and a deep lying Ceballos when he's been told to lie deep, it's not to create that forward movement. You're not going to link up with the forwards as easily. So, I've been saying now that we've got Partey, I think we need to drop Xhaka. We need to be able to trust Partey in his ability to shield the defence, and we need to have two creative midfielders. If we're going to play a three in the middle, we need to have two creative-minded players with Partey to give us, a better attacking edge going forwards. One of those can definitely be Ceballos if he wants to play a more attacking role. At the same time, he's good without the ball as well. And then that third player has to be someone like a Willock or a Smith Rowe who can play that advanced position, close to the forward line. That it has to be that way. We can't play flat like we did against Leicester. We just see that just doesn't work.
But I'm sorry, Ray. I would like to see Saka and Ceballos attacking in that formation you mentioned, Sam, because I think Saka has a lot of talent to be at number 10, as well as Willock and Smith Rowe, because they're natural born creative midfielders, and now I think Arteta's starting to experiment on doing so. So, just my opinion on that,
I mean, Saka is definitely talented enough and has the ability to play that role for sure. But for me, in my team, I would have Saka out left, playing as a forward role out left, and have Aubameyang in the middle. Yeah. And because I think Saka then we have him even more forward, more involved in creating and scoring, and also he links up very well with Tierney. I think so we need that link up on the left hand side there for me, and then that leaves space for a Smith Rowe or a Willock then in behind the attack for me. But we definitely need that if we're going to create things going forward, start creating more chances. We need to have someone in that attacking role in midfield. We can't play flat like we did against Leicester.
Yeah. So a couple of things there. We mentioned Granit Xhaka. It seems like the manager is very much wedded to him still. And I'm thinking from the Leicester game, the balance was not correct with those three midfielders. It doesn't seem to me that Partey, Xhaka, and Ceballos can all play together in midfield. They're all ostensibly the same kind of players. They do the same job, pretty much. Ceballos will switch it up a little bit more on that left side, creative area. But we do need a player like Joe Willock. We do need maybe a player like Pepe, an unpredictable player. I want to just give a shout out to Zebulon Shepard here. He's a guy that works for me. No, he doesn't work for me. He works with me.
Big up, Zebulon.
Shout out to Zeb for coming on. Yeah, we have a little bit banter at work, so it's good stuff there. But that's the thing with midfield. The balance is not right, Sam. And I think Willock, and as Alex has said here, apart from the goal, Pepe is still not doing enough. But do we need a couple players? And I think Alex has mentioned Nelson as well. Did you see the injection of impetus and enthusiasm in the game tonight, Sam? We just not seen that in the league.
No, I mean, and it comes from having these younger players who want to attack more. I think they're more attack-minded, and I think they're allowed to attack more tonight as well. I think they were asked to attack when you saw the positions they took up. For me, it's at the moment. I mean, we need to. If we're going to be more creative and we're going to create a more, attacking ability in the side, we need to drop Xhaka. For me, we have to drop him because him in the side is just holding us back. I mean, what happened against Leicester? Statistically, he got more than twice the amount of balls that Partey did. And with his distribution, nearly everything was just sideways or backwards. There was no positive, distribution with the ball, and that is part of what kept us back. And that is just it kills what Partey does. Partey becomes invisible then when Xhaka's taking all the balls and not really doing anything with them. So we need to drop him, play Partey, play someone in a more creative role next to him. And we need to start looking forwards, And for me, Xhaka just can't play in this team. He can't play in this midfield. He has to be backup. For me, he can be backup to Partey. That's it.
Yeah, and I think something has to change there. And Sam, do you want to comment on how Granit Xhaka did at centre back today?
Well, he dropped into centre back after and what was it deep in the second half. I don't think. For me today, I don't think he had a great game. I think he was okay. He's just played like he normally does. But he's him in midfield. We're looking to forward towards Sunday. I just don't want to see him in midfield with Partey. I just don't want to see it because it's not going to work. They're too similar, and Xhaka gets the ball more and doesn't distribute the way he should be. We should trust Partey, his ability, his dynamism, his athleticism. We should be able to trust him to protect our back four, work defensively in the midfield, and leave then a couple of players attacking ahead of him. That's what we should be able to do. And when it comes to the right wing now, I think we're in a bit of a conundrum because, yes, Pepe. I don't think Pepe had a very good game today, to be honest, despite his goal. It was a nice goal. Apart from that, he really didn't do anything for me. He lost the ball a lot. He struggled to get past Dundalk players. I mean, he still leaves a lot there to be desired, to be honest. It did something. I started to wonder if all of a sudden the moon had turned red or blue or something, because he actually managed to do something with his right foot, and he scored it with his right foot.
We want to get it. We want to get into that, Sam.
I couldn't believe it. It's like, what was that? His right foot? Is that the first time he's used that foot for like 3 months? Anyway, so I mean, you've got to give him credit, which was a nice goal, but apart from that, the performance wasn't great from him. And unfortunately, at the moment, you look at Willian and you look at Reece Nelson. I mean, Reece Nelson had a decent game tonight. He had a lot of drive. He moved forward very well with the ball. You saw him, break ranks a few times and move nicely. But it's just that he's always struggled with that final ball, that pass. That it's always he passes either to the wrong player or he misses his target. It's always that final ball that lets him down, Reece Nelson, and that's unfortunately keeping him from going to that next level. It's that decision making.
Sam, is he the closest thing we've got to a Grealish type of player that can carry the ball?
Possibly. I think he's good with the ball. I think Willock's good with the ball as well. Smith Rowe is also a very Grealish type of player. He can carry the ball well. That's the guy I want to see, Smith Rowe. I'd love to see him given a chance in that role Willock had today. I would love to have seen him do that.
I tweeted out I wanted to see Emile Smith Rowe. The game was kind of set up for him to be that creative force, but I believe he's still injured at this point in time. Tony, we gave you a shout out earlier. Unfortunately, he's been out of electricity for 2.5 days. So.
He can really practice being Davy Crockett now. Can't he, without electricity? You can go and hunt food. Go hunt raccoons and bears. Go to the local river and get his drink.
And wrestle bears.
Wrestle bears, hug bears. Whatever you do with bears in Oklahoma, Tony. So, no. We love you. I hope your electricity comes back soon, Tony. He likes to fight bears. Yeah, that's what it is. You assembled. Pick up the assemble. Sam, is it true that the players, i.e. the centre-backs, would not pass the Partey against Leicester?
Well, the thing is, the tactics was to bypass midfield. We wanted to try and be more direct, and the tactics was to bypass midfield, which then means you're not passing to the central midfielders. And when the passes did come, then we played a lot more on the left, which we always do, than the right. So then the ball comes to Xhaka. It doesn't come to Partey because Xhaka was on the left. And it just left Partey completely out of the game. And a very interesting statistic from the Leicester game was Luiz. The first half, he was by far our most creative player, and he has this amazing statistic that I think Arteta. I think we actually saw against Leicester what Arteta sees in Luiz now and how he wants to use him, because he had 17 passes attempts into the final third from a defensive position. And 13 out of those 17 hit their target. They were successful. Now, that is amazing. And out of a couple of those, we had a couple of good chances as well. So, it's he really, when he starts pinging that ball from the back accurately, it really works well. And that's what he did. And that bypassed midfield. So Partey wasn't really involved that much. But then all the play through midfield was on the left. It went through Xhaka anyway. And for me, that's why we have to drop him, because then you force the play to go through Partey, and that's what we have to start seeing.
Nicola Pepe is in the house, and I want to tell you, Nicola Pepe, that I wanted you to be at Arsenal the January window before we actually signed you. So I wanted Nicola Pepe a window before we actually got him. So I'm very, very invested. I'm not talking about the amount of money that we spent on Nicola Pepe, but a lot of people are going to do that, and I think that's only fair. It's tough on the player, but big up Nicola Pepe for coming in. Slap a subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Slap a like, and come back to the podcast we do Thursday nights and Sunday afternoons, right after the game, and we'll be going live 30 minutes after the United game.
And train a bit more on your right foot, Pepe. A bit more on your right foot.
Try a little bit more on your right foot, Pepe. Big up my fellow Gunners. Didn't my man play well tonight? Pepe, that's my gun man. So this is the thing. I think he's a very reserved character, Alonso, Nicola Pepe, but he always has these flashes in him throughout the season. He got, I think, something like 18 goal involvements last season. We're looking for a little bit more this season. I, for one, think he can do better than 18 goals and assists combined. What do you think?
Yeah, but he has to find that confidence first and stop wearing those John Silver pants. But it's very frustrating. Like with Theo Wilcott, he would have made these good runs and dribbled the ball very well, but yet there's no goals in it. There's no assists. So, I think that for the money he's been worth, the money we paid for him, we should be able to see more out of him, and it's not happened just yet. And I don't know if it's formation or if it's just lack of creativity, but he's got talent there. There's something in that player. It's a matter of when he's going to score and when he's going to score against bigger clubs, And that's what's frustrating for me is that hopefully this goal would boost his confidence a little bit. But also, you would think he played better since Williams either affirmed him or back around his position want to take his spot. So I think there's that as well. And Bruce Nelson as well is also lurking that position as well. So he's got a lot on his plate because he's not used to playing these good teams in the Premier League, where in France it's a dime a dozen, So he has to take for it. He's got to take it for what it's worth and do better, and have confidence in his skills.
So a great win tonight, Sam. Let's just wrap this up a little bit in terms of the Europa League. And the question I'm asking, will Arteta be tempted to throw one or two of these players in from the start at Old Trafford? And we're going to go in more detail a little bit later on the Premier League. You don't think so?
I don't think. I think the only, if he wants to go with a 4-3-3 again, I think the only position where we might see someone come in is in that attacking role, maybe behind the front three. Maybe he's seen enough from Willock to try there. Maybe he wants to. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Ceballos. He can maybe try Ceballos in there. I don't think we're going to. To be honest, I don't think we're going to see Willock or Reece Nelson on Sunday. I don't think we're going to see them. To be honest, I think we might see. Okay. We might see a Maitland-Niles because of what we need at the back.
I was afraid you were going to say that, Sam. So I'm going to counter this with this question. We did exactly the same thing last season under Unai Emery. Our Europa League team was a lot of times more exciting. The play was a lot more exciting. The results were a lot better in the Europa League. And then when Unai Emery transitioned to the Premier League, he was playing the more senior teams and not the same kind of football. Is Arteta in danger of falling into the same trap?
I think he does see, that we need to be playing maybe two different teams. I mean, in the Europa League, especially in the early games, I think he sees that as an opportunity to rest players, and then he's looking. I'm sure he's looking at the players who are playing there, but I just don't think he rates them highly enough to be starting in the Premier League. To be honest, I think
even though aren't your eyes the best thing and you can see Nelson, you can see the great interplay that was going on. I know it was Europa League, and I know it was Dundalk, and we have a bigger challenge at Old Trafford, but I saw a lot more going on in the forward positions tonight.
I agree, but I just don't think Arteta sees it the same way. I think Arteta is very locked into the system he wants to play and wants to get something out of that system. And I think for Arteta, I think he sees Willian ahead of Reece Nelson. I think he possibly even sees Pepe, well, he definitely sees Pepe ahead of Reece Nelson. If you look at everyone available to play, unfortunately, Reece Nelson isn't there at the moment for Arteta. And when it comes to midfield, even I would love to see Willock play a forward position in midfield, together with maybe a Ceballos and a Partey on Sunday. I think that's a midfield three I would like to see.
Mhm.
I just don't see it happening. I think he's probably going to go Xhaka, Partey, and Ceballos. I think that's probably what he's going to do again, and it's not going to work. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to work.
Yeah, and you would think he's an intelligent coach that realizes we need that dynamic young player, and Willock maybe being unpredictable. Pepe may actually start as well, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Download the free Flick. Download the Flick app, guys, and join our group here. It's under the code Arsenal Fan Circle. So it's a community where you can get in, talk about the game, and predict the results. And there's lots of interactive polls and all that stuff. So get involved. That would be really, really good. We're going to try and grow that as we go through the season here. And as Melina said, it's the Flick assembled. Good point. Do you guys think we will see more youngsters starting this weekend in our big game? So Sam just answered that one. He doesn't think so. I'm going to go out on the limb and think that he's going to dispense with one of the midfielders and bring in one of the younger players. So that's me putting my neck on the line here. I'm going to bring in Gary now. Hi, Gary. How are you?
Hello.
There he is. There he is.
Hi, Gary.
Hello. All right. So I had the audio going in my ears from the show.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
All right. So we just about done with the Europa League section. Do you want to sort of have a quick word about Dundalk and the game tonight, and talk about the goalkeeper? We haven't mentioned the goalkeeper yet.
All right. Yeah. No, I mean, we were all hoping for this, right? I mean, we brought him in. We need to see him. He needs to play, right? He needs to have he needs to be a little bit seasoned before he has to come in for real, maybe during the Premier League. So it's good. It's good that he got his feet wet. He looked comfortable out there. He made made one kind of itchy move where he came out almost to midfield, but otherwise, I thought he did pretty well for a first time out. And of all the news behind him coming in and kind of how he had played in the past, so it was good to see him get out there. He looked comfortable to me. I think I saw some analysis that his footwork was pretty good, getting the ball out and passing it around. So I liked it for a first go around. Definitely like that. In regards to the game, we got what we wanted, right? We got.
Yeah. The thing is, you can't trust anything Brownie says. Just so you know that. Anything he says, you can't trust.
We do know you speak sense.
I got some friends out there. Thanks, Brownie. Yeah. So no, as far as the game, I figured we'd be able to handle them. I thought we would do a lot better than we did. I'll take it for a first time out. If this is the first time out with all the youngsters out there and some of our, older players that are on their way out, I think we did pretty well. I mean, hopefully the next time they get out there, they realize that, those chances don't come too often, so they should put them away. I think we had a lot of chances where I think they had too many extra touches on the ball in the box and kind of let the ball get away from them. Like one touch and go, or just a shot. I mean, or just volley it. I mean, they had at one point I was kind of screaming at the TV going, have they ever practiced shooting before? Because they were like essentially just rolling the ball to them, and they were hitting it well over the goal, the goal, where it's just like, wait a second, he's not even making any saves because they're not putting the ball on between the sticks. And it's like, you know what? Come on, So hopefully those were just jitters.
You have taken the chances within the game, and then you have Gary taking the chances as in young players trying to break into the team. And I felt like a number of our players took their chance tonight, and sort of like I said to Sam, we're starting to tap on Mikel Arteta's shoulder, saying, "Hey, what about the league?"
Well, he has to get. I mean, it's not just a team of an 11 or 12, man roster. He needs all 20 guys to be able to play at some point in the, So they need to have actually been out there playing and actually have a sense of what he's looking to get out of them when he get out there. So I think that's what we wanted to see, and I think we saw that. I mean, the reason why I'm kind of a little bit, not so up all the way on the scoring is because I know Eddie can shoot. I've seen him do it. I mean, he scored probably just this year in the U21s. He scored how many goals? Like 6 or 8 goals or something like that. Just in 3 games or something like that. So I know he knows how to put the ball in.
He can do
it. He can do it, right?
Yeah.
So
Gary, real quick, will any of these kids play on Sunday? Not what you're thinking. What Arteta? You got to say what Arteta will do.
I don't think. No, I think today was just to give the starters a rest.
Okay.
The youngsters, no, I don't think any of the youngsters are going to play. No, I mean, yeah. So
All right.
I don't.
All right, so that's the Europa League 3-0 win. We're 6 points. I think we went strong in the first game. We brought our first choice goalkeeper, Bernardo. I was very, very happy that our backup goalkeeper now got a game under his belt, and he looks quite decent. We can move forward with him. But wanted to get into the nuts and bolts about what should be really stage 2. And what I saw and what Gary and I did the watch along on Sunday of the Leicester game. What we saw there kind of prompted where we're going now. So Arteta's rebuild, stage 1, we could say defensive stability accomplished there. I think we'd all agree with that, right?
Yeah, it's looking a lot better than it was, definitely.
Yeah.
So we're conceding less goals, right? So this first banner can we get done, dispensed with pretty quickly.
Yeah, we're letting far fewer shots against us, and we're conceding less goals. So yeah, it's going in the right direction.
And we've unearthed a really, really good player in Gabriel. Who's going to be there for years. We've got Tierney alongside him. Now we got to maybe fix up the right side a little bit. So that's stage 1 of the rebuild. And I'm thinking now, Sam, I'm thinking right now we need to be heading into stage 2, which is basically, and it comes into Arteta's team selection. So we've been talking about here, dancing around the topic a little bit. Stage 2 is you get your defense sorted. Now you try to make your attack a little bit better. So how do we do that, Sam?
Well, we've got to have players in more forward positions in midfield. I mean, at the moment, for me, it's been like we've just had, a midfield of 3 who just basically sit just in front of the defence and just lie there as a shield, and none of them really want to move into an attacking role or run into the box or anything like that. It's just lying deep and sort of controlling. We're playing in a very controlling way. We're trying to, control our opposition instead of really just attacking them. And, we end up with players who just sit very deep, and, the attack doesn't really work. It gets very disjointed. So for me, you've just got to have players in those positions. You've got to have more forward position. Like for me, I'm saying it's enough with Partey to shield defence and play a defensive role. You just have him, and then you have 2 more attacking roles next to him. For me, I would like to see maybe a Ceballos next to him in a more forward position, and then even more forward in that, maybe a 10 position is as a Smith Rowe or maybe a Willock, or there's other options as well that we can put in there, but we need to have someone in that pocket there to link up the midfield with the attack, because that's been missing. We're bypassing it so much with the long passes from the back, which yes, they do work sometimes, like they did it against Leicester. But we should be able to play through the midfield and attack as well, and that's what we're doing far too little of. And it's basically the way we're setting up. That's what we're doing. We're setting up with deep lying positions, a controlling tactic, and we're putting players basically in roles where they don't suit as well. We've seen it too many times now with players playing in positions that are not their best position. That's also another thing for me, is you want someone to perform well, you've got to play them in their best position. And I've never really ever understood, unless you're desperate and you have no other option, because of injuries or whatever, you have it, you want to play a 4 at the back, but you don't have a left back, so you have to just put someone in there who can play that role, hopefully. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about we have players who can play these roles well, but they're not being used in those roles, and it's, for me, that's just, I don't get that. I'm a little bit worried, and I hope Arteta changes this. I hope he learns from his mistakes and he changes this.
Yeah.
He did it last season by changing to a 3-4-3. We've seen he can adapt. He's pragmatic. He does learn from things. I hope he does it now as well, because what we're seeing from Arteta is he's tinkering too much. He's tinkering too much with players, trying to do too much, trying to outsmart himself nearly. It's like he's outsmarting everyone, including himself. And, it's just, we can't do that. We just have to go back to basics, set up an attacking team, put the players in the positions where they're best, and then let's just go out and just try and do our best to attack and control the game from the way the game evolves, during the 90 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah, we got plenty of time here. We're going to dive into this, Gary, and I'll let you go next. I want to shout out, though, Darren. Thanks for joining us, Darren. Big up yourself. And GK in the house as well. So really great to have everyone here once again every Thursday night. Great turnout. The hour difference helps as well. Revanite, I want to see Saka or Willian in the number 10. A lot of Arsenal fans have talked about this. So, Gary, deep dive into this, what Arteta's doing, because we lived this on Sunday. We watched Leicester together.
Yeah, the one thing, as far as, we're talking about selections and whatnot, the one thing that I think we know is who our center backs are if they're healthy, right? I think we know we've got a selection of left and right backs that we know if they're healthy, we know where we're going to go there, and we have we have some depth there. Our midfield now, I think same thing. I think our midfield, we know what our options are, depending on whether we need 2 or 3 sitting there. So I think that's one of the good things about where we are right now. I think we know definitely where the midfield to the back line are pretty solid as far as the selections.
I don't think we know the right mix yet, though, right?
We know the 3 or 4 players depending on where you are in the field that we can select from. We know Gabriel's going to play. We know Tierney's going to play.
Yes.
We know Partey's going to play. We have options around them, but we know those essentially are going to be the players that are going to be out there, and a lot of that sets up with our spine that we know we have. What we don't know, I think, right now is who those forward players are going to be, who those players are going to be attacking. I mean, we know we got Saka, we know Aubameyang are probably going to be in the mix, and then the other 1 or 2 players, depending on how we're set up. I think at least I believe we know where we are. It's all a matter of what Arteta wants to get out of a game, and whether he puts them in those spots. I think, like Sam said, we're tinkering. We're tinkering every other game. I mean, there's no way a player can look at a game and go, okay, I got something out of this. I know where I need to improve. And then the next game, either they're not even starting, or the lineup has changed, and we're going from So I think Aubameyang on the left, but I think Saka definitely deserves to play. So that moves Aubameyang away from the left, right? He's not.
We're getting close to that. We're getting close to that argument, Sam. We'll get there soon.
So he's got to move. I mean, Saka has to play, right? We know that. William behind. We've seen that work for about 20-30 minutes. So we know, we have options depending on whether we're going to have 4 or 3 at the top of of this formation. So I'm happy and hoping that he doesn't tinker and just pretty much puts a team out there he thinks is his best 11, sticks with it for a couple of games, and let's see how it goes. I mean, the one thing that we're talking about, the selection is we've watched this many times, and we watched it in the Leicester City game. The middle of the field was barren. There was nobody there from our side, to receive the ball. I mean, when Partey did decide to go into the middle, they wouldn't pass it to him because it looked dangerous, right? There was 4 players around him, and I think they didn't want to pass that ball into the middle. But I think he's willing to take it. And we see, and that's why we push it all. It's why the ball kept going all the way to the left or the right, but it never went through the middle. Because I don't think they're used to that. But I think Partey, from what I believe, he'll be fine doing that. And if that switches, I think that's kind of what I want to see. And I think when he got the ball into the middle, he was able to push it forward. We just need to get comfortable with that. And I think that only happens with time. We need to see that again. See him, because I think once he gets in the middle, he's got lots of options in front of him. And I think teams will break down once he gets that ball in there. That's what I hope to see. And
Yeah.
So
The issue on Sunday was we had three, as we mentioned already, three midfield players that pretty much do the same thing, and Partey was like the insurance policy for our insurance policy, and it just wasn't working. It's like you had a bank of midfield players, and you didn't have anyone on the edge of the box to receive the ball with their back on the half turn to play it.
I saw it a
around
little
the end.
differently, and I saw it a little differently. I don't think they wanted to pass the ball to him because they weren't used to having that guy sitting there in
Correct.
the middle that would
Yeah.
take the ball. And let's see what he does with it when he receives it. He never got an opportunity to do that as much as you see. Like I said, always go back to the highlights. You see him just just attacking, and we need that. Once the ball goes in the middle, and he's going to have it's going to open up things for us, I believe. And another one of the things that I saw today that I've seen before is players making a run to the box and players not wanting to make that pass. That happened today a couple of times, and or many times I would say, and it's there. Those attacks are there. So maybe when the ball gets a little bit closer, maybe when the Partey's the one with that ball up closer to the box, he's able to make those passes. So will that happen this weekend? I'm not sure. That might be a little too fast, but I think we need to definitely get used to. We need to figure out who those players are that we're going to be riding this thing with and continue to play.
What happened, I think, on Sunday as well, it would be like me jumping down into your box right down there and doing your job for you, and me not being up here doing my job. So that's what was happening with Partey on Sunday. The other thing that we noticed as well is the ploy of Granit Xhaka dropping into that left back position to cover Tierney. Teams have just figured that out now, and they saw that happening, and it was worked beautifully at the time for Under to get through. And Gabriel's in a difficult position. You see him directing Mustafi, and we have a question about Mustafi coming up. And from then on, it's a perfect ball. I was wondering if Gabriel should have stayed with Vardy, but then Under's got just a goalkeeper to beat, and would that have been a better position for us to be in? But hindsight is 20/20, right?
I guess the question with that though is also, did Arteta see that, and what was his decision? What did he say when he saw that? Was that
or what will he do at Old Trafford?
Was that Zaka, or was that Gabriel? Which one of them needed to make the first move on that particular case? Was it Zaka not coming up? Was it Mustafi not following the striker on his side of the field, or was it Gabriel staying home, right, and leaving that whole left side open?
Yeah, Gabriel did stay home though. For me, Granit Xhaka got pulled into the midfield. The player sucked him forward, and the ball got hit over his head into space. And we see Gabriel pointing to Mustafi to get back in position. He was not doing that. But anyway, they worked a pretty good goal. Alonso, I'm going to come to you in a second. Sam, is Danny a sunshine player?
No, he's a good enough player. We just need to have him in the right role, doing the right things with the right instructions. I think we need to see him play a bit more advanced now, not so deep.
He needs a bit of rhythm, right, Sam, in his game?
And he needs someone with him who can pass the ball, with him and play a bit with, and that's it. He when he gets into his rhythm, he works really well, and he works well without the ball as well. He just needs to play a bit further up the pitch, not so deep.
Mm-hmm. Alonso, was it worrying to you? Actually, you didn't see the game today, right? So I'm going to come to you in a second, Alonso. Sorry, man. Gary, was it worrying to you when Mustafi was brought off after 60 minutes? Does that mean he is starting against Man United? If he does, a worry for you guys. He's awful.
Worried? No, I did. Well, I think a lot of us think he's playing, so I don't know. We'll see. I think the kids needed to play. The kids needed to play anyway, so I understand why they kind of moved things around so they could get some of the kids in to play. Gabriel knows now. I think he knows who he's playing with. Hopefully now, so hopefully he will err on the side of, you know what, I'm going to protect my goalie. I'm going to protect my goal. I'm going to protect this box. I'm going to do everything I can till I can't. I have to make the decision and then go. So I think, I believe he's gonna. Hopefully, he's learned that one time. He doesn't get snake bitten again. He may not come. He may not do what he's supposed to do. So you may have to protect him, and that's essentially what teammates do for each other, right? Mm-hmm. When they see somebody, somebody needs a little bit of help, they give them that help.
And I see captain material in Gabriel down the line as well.
Yeah. He shouldn't be the one telling Mustafi kind of what's going on and you know what I mean? Like, not in this
World Cup winner, yeah.
Mustafi has seen that time and time again, and Gabriel is the one that has to tell him, you know what? This he's injured. We know he's probably going to come into the game. Make sure you know where he is and protect that goal. Well, you didn't go side. You didn't do all the little things that
Gary,
tell you.
Is it a little bit like I'll cover for you on the podcast, you'll cover for me? Is it a bit of a team game that way? You know what I mean?
The players have said that in the past, right? We're a team, and then you see them out there playing, and you're like, well, you just left your buddy hanging over here. Don't do that. Yeah. You see the danger. You go make sure it gets stopped, right? Gabriel tried to warn him. He tried to warn him, right?
Yeah. You got a 22-year-old rookie, basically directing a World Cup winner who God knows how he won that World Cup. I mean, he's just by chance being in the same squad as the rest of that German squad. This is the thing with Mustafi. This is the thing we keep saying. It's the guy can play decently. It's just he has this in him. What he did today, against what he did against Leicester, is what he has in him. He has that brain fart moment that results in a goal. And it was blatantly, for me, Gabriel did what he had to do was run over and cover to get to the ball carrier. And Mustafi, who should be, when he's a World Cup winner, played for Germany in a World Cup winning squad, he should recognize that straight away. He shouldn't even have to be told by a 22-year-old that that's what he needs to do. This should be in his DNA as a professional top-level defender, central defender. He should be covering Vardy's run. But you saw two things. You saw Vardy, 33-year-old Vardy, rinse Mustafi completely, just run from him like Mustafi had no speed whatsoever. And it was also just the attitude from Mustafi, just like, I can't get this, so I can't really be bothered. It was that typical Mustafi moment we were always worried about happening that hasn't happened for a while, so we get all gassed about him. Oh, Mustafi's finally playing well. And then he does that on in the game against Leicester, and we're all back to square one. This is the Mustafi we know.
I think happens when we talk about movies on the pod once in a while. I think Mustafi read the wrong script.
Yeah,
he read the Leicester City script.
What else I think,
We're going to send Vardy for 60. We're going to bring him in for 30. Luis isn't going to make it through the 90. Mustafi's going to come on. Vardy's going to be the hero. And, yes, we're going to take away one of your goals.
And Gary, do you know what I think, Gary?
What's that?
I think Sam should answer this question here from the assembled.
Uh-oh.
After what you said, Sam, would you are you happy?
This pisses me off, because when we have a player we've stood by so long and given him so many chances, and yes, we realise he's not good enough. Okay, so he doesn't want to sign an extension to his contract. That's fine by me. That should be fine by Arteta and the club as well, because he's not good enough to start games for Arsenal. Maybe as a backup, but definitely not a starting centre-back for Arsenal. So if he wants to move on, great. We tried to move him on for like 2 years now, and he doesn't want to go. But now he's not signing his contract extension, so he's going to go. Great. For me, we should drop him. That's it. We shouldn't be playing him.
Yeah, I'm a little confused because I thought when we were trying...
If he's not in our plans now, we should drop him. You should either play someone else, like whoever's fit, like a Holding or a Chambers. I don't know. Maybe they're all... I don't know. He's even admitted he should have Saliba should be playing today. He even admitted as much, Arteta. We should have Saliba maybe playing instead. Or you don't have Ballard on loan at Blackpool. You know,
well,
you bring him in.
maybe Ballard.
He should
I
be able
know.
to cut. We should be looking to the future, not worrying about Mustafi.
Yeah,
Yeah, I find
I
it.
know.
I wasn't. Yeah, sorry. I was
I
going to
know
say that.
Ballard is an international player, but maybe he's not up to the standard as well. You know, that is needed. Gary?
Well, against Dundalk.
What we're seeing,
Yeah.
we're seeing, you know, young mistakes though. But what I was going to say is that didn't we try to get rid of him? You know, not try to get rid of him, try to transfer him.
Yes.
And and I don't know what happened. If it was it the teams or
advanced
was
with
it him?
Lazio, I think.
I think I
It was
heard.
Lazio. I think it was
Hertha
advanced.
Berlin.
It was advanced talks with Lazio. Oh, I heard to Berlin, was it? Yeah. But they could use personal terms. I'm sure that's what it was. It was personal terms.
So even if that's so he just wanted his money then, right? So he just wanted his money, and then he's going to go away. So yeah, like you said, I mean, they. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that they let him. You know, they we don't get to see him too often. But you know, Luis, I don't think initially I thought, you know what, we're bringing in Luis. Saliba is going to get to play, so they're going to kind of work him in the system. Now we have our two center backs, who, you know, when Saliba needs a rest, Luis will be there to protect, you know, to help him. We don't have that right now, right? Holding, Chambers, Marie, all three of them aren't helping this whole process. I mean, Arteta's been dealt really bad cards, and sometimes he's created them himself, right?
Well, I'm hoping we don't see much of Mustafi going forwards now, because I know Mari is very close to being fit again now. The same with Chambers; they're in full training, so we should be seeing these guys instead of Mustafi. We really should.
Mari is left-footed. He's very wedded to left-footed and right-footed players. Holding and Mustafi will be, and maybe Chambers will be fighting for that right-sided slot. He is willing to relent with David Luiz playing on the right, as in recent games. Revenite, what does Smith-Rowe have to do to get a game for you guys? He can't even get a time against Dundalk. I believe he was injured, Revenite. And one more question, FIFA boy Darren. Do you think Arteta used the younger players because it was an easier team? Just rotation, just squad rotation. But
I think he got forced into it because he didn't do that in the first Europa Group game.
Yeah, and he should
have rested Luis. He should have rested Saka, and I think it came back to haunt him. And then he's not going to do that again. And hopefully, he realizes he doesn't have to. Right, one more win, and I think we pretty much got what we want. You know, I think 4 more points probably, and I think we can win the group probably.
That's it. Exactly.
Right, so I think we can get 4 points because we're going to play in one more home game after, you know, our away game, and then I think we should be sorted by then.
Yeah.
So I think.
All right. So long overdue. I got to get Alonso in, and thanks for hanging in there, Alonso.
Sorry about that.
It's been a number of minutes we've been discussing this, but I want you to discuss the rigidity of Arteta's team lineups. I want to get into playing Willian as a false 9. Previously this game, we're asking where's Ainsley Maitland-Niles, where's Willock, where's Nelson? Well, they got games today, so that's kind of answer that question. And then the other thing, Alonso, you can understand the great debate of Aubameyang through the middle or Aubameyang through the left, and we're going to have that debate in a few minutes. But playing Aubameyang on the right just didn't work against Leicester, Alonso.
No, it was very frustrating at the game because, you know, we know that, you know, Aubameyang's strongest on the left and maybe through the middle, but we haven't seen him enough in the middle to judge that this year. Maybe in the past we have, but I think he has to come in from the left and shoot from the middle, right? So to me, that's his best bet. And if we lack creativity, that's also an issue for him as well, because he thinks so, in my opinion, in the right formation with Saka and Aubameyang, they link up very well together. And so Sunday was just an absolute mess for me, because we know what Aubameyang is very capable of, and on the right side he was very weak. And by the end of the game, you saw that them rotating, but still, I mean, you saw nothing out of Aubameyang or nor Saka, so it was very, very disappointing for me.
Yeah, and just do you think Arteta is going to learn? Because this, Alonso, this is going to be very, very important as I see it personally, for the team to progress, Arteta's got to be less rigid in what he asks his players to do, and he's got to start opening things up. And we need to have some players who are going to take a risk, who are going to be protagonists and going to try things. Not always going to come off. You need a Pepe, maybe you need a Willock in the team. You need that kind of balance in midfield and in striking.
Yeah.
Do you need to go check on something, Gary?
No, you must have already talked about this, right?
Yeah,
Who
we did a little
is-
bit. Just tell me
who
what you're
is-
thinking, and we'll
Who
get back
is
to Alonso.
Sam's best right-footed player?
So
Pepe. Yeah.
What?
I said,
All right,
who
let's
is
get-
Sam's best right-footed player?
My best right-footed player.
Yes,
What, in the Arsenal squad?
yes.
Yeah, we did this. We did this already. Yeah.
Right-footed player, the best one in the entire squad.
Today.
Today,
Yes.
I mean, come on, he scored with his right foot. Yes, okay. But,
It works.
I was just saying, a grandfather clock, broken grandfather clock is right twice a day, isn't it? I mean, come on.
Gary,
So
you're like 30 minutes behind us. Look at what Tony
I
put
know,
in here.
I know. I was actually on one of those watch-alongs, and Sam was there, and I was like, "Did you see that?"
Yeah, I
works.
couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. Top bin as well, top right bin.
You know,
But
he
literally,
only scores.
yeah.
He only scores in that postage stamp, Sam, up there in the
I
top
know,
corner.
but that was literally the first decent thing he did that game. I mean, he was struggling to get past Dundalk players,
Yeah.
so...
So I'm curious to know if Pepe can score on his right foot now. Will he be switched to the right, or will it just be stroke of luck him scoring to the right?
Oh, come on! He was in a position where he could hit the ball just sweetly. The ball sort of just came into that nice position where he could just hit it sweetly, and he did. But I mean, he was out on the right there for the whole game, and he did nothing really. I mean, he really didn't. I mean, come
Sam,
on.
you either get on board with this, or we're going to remind you of this every week. Pepe has the right foot, Sam.
Well, I mean,
He technically does have a right foot, but it's mainly just a stand on. That's what it is.
So I'm curious to know, right? I thought about this the other day. Would Arteta be willing to take a player like Saka and build around him like Wenger did with Fabregas back when Fabregas was
yeah. Build a team around them, right?
right. So whenever Fabregas, right, it was captain and the best player on the pitch week in, week out, right? Wenger switched formations to benefit Fabregas. And I think that's what Arteta needs to do with the young players we have, especially Saka.
That was a downfall of Arsene Wenger changing formations,
Right?
And changing our style of play. That killed Arsene Wenger.
Switching to Fabregas being the number 10.
Well, what we did was we changed to a lot of technical.
We went to a possession style football instead of direct.
Exactly. We went to a lot of technical midfielders, smaller stature, and we were physically beaten by more physical teams in the league. So,
I always like to say that we just like to walk the ball in. That's the only way our goals. They all look the same. It was like, all right, he's just going to walk it in because we've moved them. They got it so far out of position that all you can do is you just walk it in. At some point you're going to have to ram that thing down their throat. I mean, at some point you're going to have to shoot from outside the penalty box, right?
Well, that's what we started seeing today again. We started seeing again today this walking the ball into the box, not taking a shot thing. It was annoying to see again today.
I was more heartened by there was a lot more progressive play, a lot more interplay and triangles.
Oh yeah, we look better attacking,
right?
Yeah, we look better attacking. Yeah.
By the way, Sam, Pepe did have an assist as well with that.
Well, not really.
Come on now.
He can't count that.
It was a deflected shot. Come on.
The Revenant has said so.
Yeah, but he's with me on this one. He's with me.
Yeah, you can't. He shouldn't count that. He should know better.
He's with me on this one.
You should know better.
I think we're just trying to wind you up, Sam, a little bit here.
That is Sam's. You know what? That's his Halloween uniform. He's going to be wearing that on the Halloween.
I'm gonna Long John Silver with Pepe. I'm gonna have a little kit on, just a stump leg, and I'm gonna say it costs 70 million quid. So yeah, that's a good idea.
Every time you gotta tell like a pirate. You gotta tell like a pirate too.
Yeah, I have a pirate on my shoulder, and I have a hat and a Pepe and an Arsenal shirt with Lille. I'm gonna have a Lille shirt with Pepe on. Yeah.
Okay. Look at this. Ravenin is a bird of my color. He's my brother. Definitely on the Sam wind-up train. You know, we've eased Sam in a little bit easily.
But the Ravenite's with me with Pepe.
Doesn't look like it, does it?
Well, I don't know why he's all of a sudden. He's with me. He doesn't like Pepe.
Oh, so just one thing. I mean, I know I missed a lot. I'm sorry. The Verizon guy was here fixing my internet, so now I have a faster internet in my office.
Right.
That's all good.
So that's a plus.
Is it 5G?
So yes. But did you guys? I mean, I assume you already did talk about how Dundalk broke a record today.
Yes. No. It broke a record.
Yeah, they did.
It's ridiculous. How much do you have to pay to break that record? Because
I don't know. It's an insane record. United. It's an insane record. It really is. But it's they managed it.
I cannot believe that. When I saw it 20-0, and I'm like, really? And they had like at least 3 yellows that were not even called a foul.
What's this all about, Sam? So what's this all about, Sam?
Oh God, I don't know. That's still probably something to do with my. I have this thing where, basically, a long story short, there's so many Arsenal fans and fans in general who they always think there's an agenda against their team. You know, it's the FA or the referee has an agenda or whatever. You know, and for me, it's just all bullshit. I mean, it's just what it is. It's just incompetence. That's what it is. You know, incompetent referees being overseen by other incompetent referees in a VAR box. You know, that's what it is, and you get terrible decisions that way. There's no agenda. There's no one at the FA saying, "Oh, listen, this game we want Arsenal to get a penalty," and then it's just crappy referees doing a crappy job. That's what it is.
So you don't think the league has decided in August rather than May?
No, I don't. But there's something. There is one thing. There is an anomaly though that I would like to look deeply into, and that's a whole different debate. I'm only going to just say it for a few seconds, but there is definitely an outlier and an anomaly I'd like to look into, and that is how Manchester United got 26 penalties in one season. I just really would like to see how. I mean, how that happens.
Yeah. Let me go back to Alonso because we kind of skirted past Alonso a lot on this podcast, so we're sorry about that, Alonso. The rigidity, do you think, let's finish out this Arteta, he's so rigid to the structure that he wants to, and we've gotten results that way. Let's not beat around the bush. We won an FA Cup because he's put in place the uncoachables, and he's made them coachable. But to go to stage 2, as I'm saying, we need to open things up, and how does he do that? Does he need to bring some creative players into the mix?
I think so. Seeing how we don't have Ozil no more, and that's a done deal. And there's a reason why we brought William in. Is because he could play all positions. He could play out to the right wing, the left wing, and centrally at number 10. But we haven't seen it yet. And I think Arteta is so built on getting results the way that he feels he needs to with the formation he has. That it's kind of caught up to him, to where it's hurt him as far as on the pitch. And we cried out for a three-man midfield, but there's still no creativity in there. And so I think he has to find someone who could link up with Partey, with somebody else, or that creative midfielder, because he could do that. I mean, we've seen it in the past with different teams where we've had Xhaka, pass the ball to Cazorla, to Ozil. So we have to find those players that want to be in those positions for us to succeed. And we had the forwards to do so. I mean, we have Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe if he wants to play well. And and we'll win. So, I mean, there has to be a fine line between if you want to play to your style or win games, and the time is now to do that. And I think as fans are getting impatient by that.
Yeah, we're getting impatient. And Alonso, I got another question for you. Are we sort of suffering now because of our, inability to get our business done before the season has actually started? So we brought Partey in. Now we're trying to figure out how we can figure and put him into the team. We could have been doing this a month ago, right?
Yeah, and it's frustrating, and it's also caused a lot of fans to be against each other because of who we wanted and what we needed. And there's a difference between that. And do you want to win games, or do you just want to be okay with what we have? And the results before we got Partey were kind of iffy, because of the lack of creativity and the players we had on the pitch. I mean, their talent was there. It was a matter of which passes and come from who to execute that game plan, and it hadn't been met because, in my opinion, Arteta's been stubborn to change slowly to match the potential we have, and it's kind of irritating and frustrating.
It is frustrating, especially when you're losing 1-0. And Gary and I were talking about, well, do we lose 3-2 or do we lose 1-0? I mean, there is a little bit of difference in the way you go about doing that. But we want to give you a big up here. Brownie wants to give you a big up here, Alonso.
Thanks, Brownie. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Man.
So there's a lot of people saying that in here, and I did show them up. I did flash his comments up. But I want to give you a big up. You're here every week as well, Alonso. So
thanks.
You guys are regulars. Gary's with me every podcast. Sam's here every Thursday. So anybody new watching this likes the panel, likes what we have. There's a crazy guy called Tony. He joins us as well. We call him Davy Crockett. So big up to you. And that's what it's all about here. We're not the biggest podcast in the world. But what we do have is a great community. And that's what we are trying to foster here. And that's the thing that Gary's having his beer to help us wind up Sam. So it's 3 more points. So listen, Sam wanted to sort of get into this conversation, and it sort of ties into, right? You wanted to get into Aubameyang on the left or Aubameyang through the middle.
We can make it a short one so we don't bore everyone.
Yeah, make it 5 or 6 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just you 5 or 6 minutes. Each of us gets about a minute and a half, right?
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I'm not really sure what the other guys think about this one, to be honest.
Let me know, before we get into it, let me know, everyone, what you think about, should we play Aubameyang through the middle? Should we keep him on the left and play Nketiah or Lacazette through the middle, and that way getting more goals? Or is the club transitioning toward Aubameyang through the middle, and we're paying him all that lovely cash? We need to be actually cashing in on that cash. Go ahead, Sam.
Right, so I've got 3 very good arguments for why he should play in the middle. I'll keep it short and sweet. Number 1 is you're playing Aubameyang out left to cater for someone in the middle who is not as good, who's nowhere near as good. He's nowhere near as good at finishing, creating anything. So you're playing your star goal scorer and talisman out left in a position where he's not really at his best. He played centrally at Borussia Dortmund. He's always really played centrally. And then you're playing him out left to cater for someone like Lacazette. It just doesn't make sense. It's not the way we should be setting up. You're actually saying, okay, you play out left because we want to play him in the middle, when actually, we can do better. We can do better than that. For me, we can play better and get more of an attacking threat going if we had like someone like Saka out left and Aubameyang in the middle, because Aubameyang, that is his natural position. That is where he is best. He has been playing well out left. Well, he hasn't been playing well out left for a long time. Really, now he hasn't scored goals for a while. I think he's taken a pill from Giroud. I think he's taken a Giroud pill, I think. But anyway, he's such a good finisher normally. He hasn't been finishing well for a while now, but before, he's such a good finisher that when he gets those chances, even out left, and he comes in, he's scoring goals because he's that good. But we can get him even better. We can get even more out of him in the middle. My second argument is he's the captain and the talisman for his country, and he plays through the middle there. He's not catering for everyone else there. He's playing through the middle there. It's to me, it just makes no sense playing him out left because we want someone else in the middle. The third thing is statistically, I know statistics it's a controversial thing, but this XG thing everyone talks about now, expected goals, right? Expected outcome. His actual XG when he plays through the middle is quite a lot better than when he plays out left. It means he creates more and more happens when he plays through the middle, according to his XG stats, than when he plays out left. So for me, there's 3 solid reasons why he should be playing in the middle. And for me, it just makes it, I can understand he's out there because we want Lacazette to play, but we shouldn't want Lacazette to play. He's nowhere near what he used to be. He's nowhere near the player we want him to be, and we shouldn't be catering for him at all. We should have our best player in the middle and Saka out left who can do so much more. That was basically my arguments.
Yeah. Who wants to follow it up, Alonso or Gary?
Go ahead, Gary.
Okay. All right. I'll go. Good points, Sam. I guess I have some extra ones to go on why he needs to move. Based on the way I saw the season ending and kind of the performances I've seen from a lot of the youngsters on the team, I figured Aubameyang, my initial thought coming into the season was his goals would go down, not because he's getting old or anything like that, because I thought we would have more opportunities for others, Saka, Martinelli, and then by bringing in William, I thought, you know what, that might help us out as well. I assumed Pepe would have a bigger jump than he has. He hasn't had that as big of a jump as I thought he would, but Saka has, and I'm expecting Martinelli to do that as well. Saka is on the left. That's where he's best. I think that pushes Auba into the middle where he doesn't have to do as much. Saka's young, can handle that, I believe, tracking back and all those types of things. And Aubameyang with some help. And also I figured, now that we have Partey sitting there, now the ball's a little bit closer to the front line than it was before, especially when he decides to take the ball and put his head down and do what he does best. We need goals. I think we have what we need to improve the goals, and not just for Aubameyang, but I think for the entire team. The XG, I know when he's out there, he'll score, but I think also somebody who's going to pass that ball off, make those, open up things for his teammates, I think is Partey now. I think that's another. You still need another person there, but I think right now Partey brings that ball closer to the front line, whereas before it always had to go over the top, and I don't think we need to do that as much now. So that's another reason why. I think the youngsters are one of the main key reasons. They need time on the ball. They need time in the field. The only way they're going to do that is to move things around, and one of them I think is for him. And like you said, if he was able to continue to play with the form that he had, was able to get every goal, then there's no reason to move him, right? Mm-hmm. But I kind of feel like he may have got let down by not being able to at least continue his form until his form ran out. I mean, I don't think you. I think the best defense for Laka was Arteta sitting him. For what reason, I'm not sure.
Well, I think Lacazette is nowhere near where he used to be. When you see him play now, he's much heavier. He's not as fast. He's more lethargic. And listen, when we actually got the guy when he was at his best, he couldn't play more than 70 minutes anyway. He was completely blown out after 70 minutes. He's getting slower. He's getting older. You can see he's not producing what he used to produce. For me, we got to sell him. He's not what he used to be. So, shoehorning him into the side because he's a central attacking forward who can link up to the middle. And then the best goal scorer we've got, the best natural goal scorer we've got, we're putting him out left, where you see him in several times he's got the ball out left, he has to cross the ball into Lacazette. Now I'm thinking, hang on, what's wrong with this picture? We've got our best goal scorer, natural goal scorer, out left, crossing the ball in with his left foot to Lacazette, who basically couldn't hit water if he fell out of a canoe.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it just doesn't make sense to me.
I think hopefully the final straw is when he put Aubameyang on the right, when he also put William in the middle. I think that those are two strikes. I don't think he wants to get a third because that I think he'll have a mutiny on his hands because the one person that you at least you spend all that money on him. There was a reason why they did that. Hopefully, it wasn't for the fans because that's not the way the business should work. I think it was because he was the best striker in England, one of the best strikers in the world. That striker, that's the scorer, right? You put the ball with him going towards the goal, chances are it's going in. That's what you spent the money on. That's why you use it well. Like you said, I expected Laka to go away, to get transferred out because that's a lot of money there that we could use to pick up other players that we are lacking right now. I could have, for whatever money they got for Lacazette, they could have gotten a War or whoever, Dembele or whoever those players were that they were looking at. I think Eddie can do to some degree some of the things that Lacazette can do as a backup, right? But yeah, and I think
it still seems, guys, that we are not making the right choices in terms of moving players on, and I know a lot of that has been clouded by the current world situation, the pandemic that's going on. That the market is just not there to move players on. We're stuck with too many players, so much so we had to exclude a couple of players from the lists, But I'm going to give you my viewpoint on Aubameyang after Alonso gets his say. So, it sounds like, Gary, you were saying through the middle, right? You want to play Aubameyang through the middle. Yeah. Alonso, what's your thoughts on left side or through the middle? Or can you see both sides?
So for me, I would want to see Aubameyang through the middle because, like Gary said, it just opens up more spots for players that are either in form or need extra time to be on a pitch. And I didn't see the game today, but I really wanted to see Reece Nelson succeed under Arteta, and I'm going to see Saka either get a goal or an assist to help his confidence out. And I think that would help Saka since he's younger. And Aubameyang is a very underrated passer as well. I mean, we saw that against who was it against that Saka scored against? Was it Brighton? Oh
Saka.
no,
it was the Sheffield United game. Bukayo Saka.
No, it was Xhaka. Sorry,
Granit Xhaka.
That pass that Tierney get to Aubameyang to Xhaka.
I thought it was El Neni in the middle, right? It was El Neni that. Oh, you mean before El Neni? Then,
yeah.
Right? Okay.
It was during one of the restart games.
Yep.
And so anyway, I think it was Southampton. Anyway, so I think Aubameyang is very underrated passer as well, or he get some assists inside the box as well. So I think Aubameyang can free up a lot of passes and a lot of creativity himself. So it'd be interesting to see how Aubameyang does through the middle because the games I've seen Aubameyang play have been through the left wing. Now it'd be interesting to see if Arteta gets risky and plays both Aubameyang and Lacazette up front and having a diamond formation.
All right, as a two up front and playing a diamond in midfield. So that I don't think he's ever adopted that tactic. But for Aubameyang, very, very good points. We did a prediction podcast that I think Gary was alluding to, where we basically said we don't think Aubameyang's going to score as many goals this season as he has in previous seasons. But that doesn't mean that he can't be valuable to the team because we basically said if he's playing through the middle, he's going to bring Pepe into the game. He's going to be close to the Pepe, and he's going to bring Saka or Martinelli on the left side into the game a lot more. As a consequence, he's not going to score as many goals, but he's going to bring more players into the scoring charts, and that's kind of what we want to do. We want to spread the goals around. The debate is whether for Aubameyang would do better, score more goals on the left. I actually think he would score more goals on the left to counter Sam's argument. I think he has a better angle in terms of we don't have a creative player in midfield that can play through balls, so he's going to receive a lot more dangerous balls on just the edge of the box between the central defenders and the fullback, and that's where he does most of his damage, sort of rotating from the left to the center. And just so happens he does sometimes find himself in the middle. as per the Europa League game last week against Vienna. But it's kind of a moot. It's a good discussion to have, Sam. But I think the club is transitioning toward Aubameyang being in the centre for a lot of the reasons that you pointed out as well, Sam. That Lacazette's not the player, and Nketiah may be just the backup to Aubameyang in the future. And we're going to see Martinelli, Saka, Pepe, Nelson come to the fore, hopefully. So what do you think, Sam?
No, I agree with that. I mean, I think we're seeing slowly that transition happen. I'd like to see it quicker than later. I would like to see it happen now, as quickly as possible, because we can get more out of the team. I think, especially attacking. This is what we're talking about. We're struggling in attack, and I think Saka out left there with Aubameyang in the middle, and I would even put Pepe out right, because at the moment, for me, I'd rather have him out right than Willian or Reece Nelson, because Willian and Reece Nelson, they're poor as well, So I would rather Pepe, who can be maybe a bit more unpredictable, play together with Aubameyang and see how it goes.
I did say I would get to the assembles question as well.
Yes, let's have it.
Basically, it was about creativity. If I can find it again. A lack of creativity. Here we go. Does it confuse? So, Sam, if Arsenal can't get the basic functions of the team, wouldn't a creative player confuse the issue? I would think contrary to the fact. If we have a creative player, it would solve a lot of our problems in the team.
Well, that's it. It's just about. I think for me, it's just about you get players to play in their natural role. So you're not confusing anything. You're not creating difficulties. You're not telling a player to do something they shouldn't be doing that's against their natural instincts. Right? I mean, if you're telling an attacking player he has to wait, hold, sit back, deep, do this, do that, you're playing him against his natural instincts. So if you want someone to do that, play a defensive-minded player instead. Don't play an attacking player in that type of. If you want them to do that type of thing, So if you have a creative player who comes into midfield, who can play in a more forward attacking role, and let him do what he does best in his natural position. We're going to start creating a lot more when the players are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, man. I think along those same lines, I think a coach or manager is supposed to put his players in positions to succeed when they're out there. So whatever they do best, he should be able to be feeding on that. So if you put a creative player into the Arsenal squad, I think for a little while it may look a little foreign to everyone, but I think eventually things will work out, and that's what I'm hoping will happen with Partey. I mean, we've seen him come in and play, and I think there's things that he's expecting to happen when he's out there. They didn't happen, and hopefully they get corrected. And then when we see him playing a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more into kind of the mode that he's used to, I think we'll be able to take advantage of those skills that he has. Same thing. Aubameyang expects certain things when the ball's coming to him to make him, to do what he does best, right? If he's not getting that service, if he's not getting that movement behind him that allows things to open up where he can get the ball with space on the run, then he looks like he looks right now, where he's going to have to. He's not somebody that's going to take somebody on and be able to go 30, 40 yards past him. I don't think that's where he's best at, but he can take advantage of the open space and take a run down the field and get a good pass, and he'll get there. So So I think Arteta, from what I can see, has tried to cater to his players. So if he gets a creative player, I think he'll use him. He just doesn't have one right now that he wants to use.
Yeah. Hopefully it can be Emile Smith-Rowe. It can be Willian, hopefully, and it could be who's the other player that was thinking about Willock, right?
Willock can do it, yeah.
So Revenant said, look, as a Liverpool fan, until this season they didn't have anyone until Thiago. And you need that creativity. If you don't get it from midfield, you need it from your front three or your fullbacks or a centre back like David Luiz. Bellerin won't do it. Cedric won't do it. Xhaka won't. Partey could possibly. Too many players aren't doing the job. Okay, so let's quickly dive into the Premier League preview, right? We're going to talk about Arsenal against Manchester United just at the end of this, but let's quickly go through. It's a little bit of a disappointment that we didn't win against Leicester City. we would have been up in fourth place. And it's a lot more fun looking around the league positions when you're in fourth place, looking down at some of these teams. As a consequence of losing, and this shows the parity in the Premier League, we're, I think, in 10th or 11th place. Kind of a familiar position, only after 6 games, though. So what I'm going to say is a win at any point can catapult you early on into the season. So let's just go through things really quickly. Wolves versus Palace. Sam?
I think Wolves will win that one. I think they'll have a home victory. I can see that one being 2-1.
Yeah, and Wolves are now in 9th place. Palace are actually in 8th place with them. They're both on 10 points.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's a stronger team
good
for me.
Then the next game, Gary, is Sheffield United versus Manchester City. And City struggled against West Ham last weekend.
Yeah, and I think this is probably going to happen, especially when they're playing some of these teams. At least playing this week, Sheffield United, who hasn't played, right? So they've been rested, and this is this is the punishment you get, I guess, for playing in the European leagues, right? Is that when you come in the weekend to play, the team you're playing is rested and has probably been thinking about you the whole game. So I think it'll be a tough game. But
Sheffield United actually played quite well against Liverpool as well, and get them a game.
They did. So I don't know if they're going to be able to do it 2 weeks in a row. That might, to have 2 good games back to back. I don't know, if they're going to be able to surprise anyone. I still feel like United, Man City will be able to get what they need out of the game.
City will have to get a win at some point. Alonso, Burnley at home to Chelsea. And Burnley up for 200 million. You can sell them. You can buy them for 200 million if you want. They're in the relegation zone. Burnley are, and Chelsea are 10th place.
I think that it's going to be a draw. I think it'll be 2-2.
A good old 2-2, right, Sam? I'll take the next game. It just happens to be Liverpool versus West Ham. I think Liverpool may have turned the corner getting that win against Sheffield United. VAR does not seem to be as kind to them this season as it was last season, but I think they're good enough to get a win against West Ham. And sorry, Charlie, if you're watching, my West Ham friend. Sam, take Aston Villa versus Southampton.
Aston Villa the better team there for me. I can see Aston Villa winning that one. I'd say 2-0.
Yeah, third place Aston Villa. They did lose to, I can't remember who they lost to.
Leeds.
3-0 against Leeds.
Yeah.
And I had a point against that in relation to Pepe and the goal. Pepe scored, reminded me a little bit of Bamford's goal against Aston Villa, where he's just little back lift in the shot and was able to put it into the top corner. Bamford against Aston Villa. So Aston Villa should win that game, right? Gary, Newcastle at home to Everton. Everton top of the table, but they're wobbling a little bit now.
Yeah, I think what did they lose? They lost Richarlison, I think, right? He got the red at the end of the game, so they're going to be out without him. So they're not going to be as strong as they have. And I don't know if James, if he came up iffy after that game. I can't remember if he looked iffy at that game, but I think Calvert-Lewin will probably be able to be Calvert-Lewin against they're going to be able to handle them.
I've got a little bet with Brownie as well, and he thinks Everton will finish above Arsenal. We'll see what happens. Sam, you get Spurs. Playing Brighton.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Brighton. Even though I'd love to see them get a result against the shite down the road, but I just can't see them doing very well away against Spurs. Unfortunately, I mean, Spurs. They can always mess up and maybe let a late goal in for a draw or something like that. But I just think they're just going to be too strong at the end of the day. I think maybe a 2-0 there as well to Spurs.
I got to catch up here on the Revenant. I think VAR perked his ears a little bit there. I will say again, like I did to Ryan earlier, Liverpool is a myth. We got a call, or leave our pool. Okay, VAR pool is a myth. We got a call or two earlier in the season, and then people cried every time we got a right call. I'm sorry. It was a little bit more than a couple of times. I think you benefited very, very well to maybe 10 points, I would say, last season. Was it the difference in you winning and losing the league? No. But you won it by a wide margin. You got some VAR calls which are very shaky. And, we have done podcasts with some Liverpool fans. So, Revenant, check back. We do like the Liverpool, but we call it pretty even here as well. I love hearing we got VAR when I was screaming when our players got brought down week after week and never got penalties. If we were Man United, Man United's a different story. Yeah, Man United's a law unto itself. But, Mane elbowed Tierney in the face as well. That didn't get looked at. So Arsenal fans have a lot of reason to talk about VAR as well. But, respect to you, Revenant, and thanks for being here watching. And I hope you continue to do so. Okay, Alonso, Fulham versus West Brom. It's a real relegation 6-pointer.
I say 2-0 West Brom.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably go along with that. Gary, Leeds United versus Leicester now. After Leicester, what Leicester did to us, Leeds, they're going to meet Leeds at Allen Road, and that's going to be tricky for Leicester.
Yeah, I don't know how I want this game to go. Do I want to prove that if Leeds goes out and smashes Leicester City, if Bramford has another big game? I don't want to see that because we'll see it pretty soon, right? Or
yeah, we're gonna meet Leeds pretty soon. Yeah.
So I don't really want to see that. Or maybe he gets all those goals out. He shoots all of his bullets, right? And he's got none left when he plays us. So I think that's definitely a game where I could see a tie, a 2-2 tie, I believe.
Yeah.
Vardy is just, I think Vardy is a big player in the league, and I think the Leeds team in general, they play pretty well. So I could see Brentford having a big day as well.
Yeah. And Leicester, let's have it right. Leicester, I know what Leicester are. They're a very dogged team. They hang in there. They're a professional team, and they slug it out. They're street fighters, and they've got one killer, and they brought him on, and he killed us again. I hope that's the last time Vardy scores against Arsenal, and Arteta's got to make it a mission to not have Vardy score against us again. Revenant, you're very much right. VAR has done us wrong. The officials forget to use it half the time. We've talked about VAR, and it's just as bad as human. It is human beings. It's just as bad as human beings operating the thing. And I'd rather go back to the old ways, personally speaking. For this shit, Steve Adams said. Okay, so that's all of the teams except for Man United against us. And what's going to happen on Sunday, Sam?
I think we're going to struggle because, unfortunately, Old Trafford, even with no fans, and Manchester United, it's always a game we struggle to do well. It's one of those games where we psychologically struggle, and I think we will do well to get a draw, to be honest. I just don't see us all of a sudden creating a lot more than we normally do, pulling out some kind of amazing attacking play. I just can't see things turning around this quickly for Sunday. Even though I'd love to see it, of course I would. I just can't really see it happening. I think we'll see a lot more of the same. And listen, the thing is, we are creating chances, even though we're not creating a lot. And of course, we want to create more. But we are creating chances. We saw that in the first half against Leicester. It's just now we're lacking that finishing ability. The clinical side we had with Aubameyang finishing. He's at the moment he's in poor form. He's not finishing, the chances he gets. So without his finishing, we're not scoring goals, right? So that's why it looks a lot worse than what it really is, because we are creating chances. As I said, we're just not taking them very well. So, but against United at Old Trafford, even with their problems, they're still going to give us a good game. They've got a good team. They've got Bruno Fernandes. They've got Van Beek. They've got Pogba. They've got Rashford, who's in great form at the moment. They've got Martial. They've got Greenwood. They've got good players. So they're going to give us a hard game, a tough game, and they're going to score a goal definitely against Leno and our setup there. They're going to get a penalty definitely. With Mike Dean as referee, they're going to get a penalty.
Yeah.
So with Mike Dean, we've got that 12th man against us as well. So they're going to score a goal, and it's how we react to that. How we do it. And I just can't see us winning. I really can't. I think at best we get a draw, and I would hope for a draw. So I'm going to hope for a 1-1 draw. Basically, that's what I'm going to hope for.
You're switching it up from the 2-2s, I see. Okay.
It could be a 2-2 because we could see a couple of goals each, but we're struggling to score, right? For me, so I see more like a 1-1, to be honest.
What is the prediction, Sam, for the Cardiff game?
Who are they playing? I don't care about Cardiff. I don't give a shit about them.
It's the Premier League preview, so sorry.
Cardiff's going to lose. That's what they're going to do. That's what's going to happen with Cardiff.
Hey, Alonso, what's going to happen up at Old Trafford? We have a terrible record up there, and we have Mike Dean that's against us all the time.
I honestly think that it's going to be a 2-2 draw. It's going to be I think it's going to be an exciting game, and I think that Miguel Arteta will probably, I think the boys will be ready. I think that he'll be out. I think they'll be out for it, and I think that looking at both clubs, I think they're in a similar position that we are in which we're trying to break out, but yet we have to find that one game that will take us farther, and they're both they're also trying to make a name for themselves as well. So I think it'd be a hard game, but I think it'd be also a good game to watch. I think it'd be a 2-2 draw.
We need that landmark win. We need the landmark win against the top 6 team in the league.
I love it.
They lost to Spurs at Old Trafford. They drew with Chelsea. They weren't that great. I think it's an anomaly. But I think Champions League will not translate to the Premier League this weekend, so that makes Gunners fans feel a little bit more hopeful, and I'm feeling a little bit more hopeful. I told Gary we would probably lose 3 games in this stretch, and we've lost. That was since the Liverpool loss, right? So I'm hoping we don't lose another one, but it's very entirely possible. But I'm going to flip script and say we're going to go up there and win. We're going to get a reaction out of the team. And I've got nothing to back it up, Sam. So don't give me that look.
Well, it could happen. It could happen.
Yeah. Gary, what do you think?
Yeah, I had in my head 1-1 before Sam said it. I would have liked one thing that I like to see is consistency and growth.
Norwegian Gollum.
The Norwegian Gollum.
So we want to keep him at the wheel, Gary.
I would have liked to have seen that the Leicester City game go a little differently, because that would have built on this game. So I feel like we're starting over again in sense. And let's see what lineup we come up with this week, right? I mean, that's going to be our kind of the question is who what kind of lineup are we going to come up with? Who's going to actually play? I believe we don't have any injuries, right? From the players that came out in the Leicester City game. I think Saka can play, and I don't know about Luis though. Is that's the question mark there?
Saka is getting kicked all over the pitch, and
and that's gonna happen. Yeah, I think that's gonna happen, right? He makes you look really bad. You have no choice, right? So I was predicting a tie because I was kind of feeling like Manchester City, we're going to come out, we're going to slow it down like we usually do, which is our plan, and so we figure out everything else going forward. So I like to see us continue. I feel like the 3-4-3 is going to be our formation for a while. Is what I thought. I know we're good. It seems like we're switching it up now. Hopefully, we can still stay with that defensive stability that we've had. Not give them anything. We know Rashford is going. He's on a roll. We got where he is.
Exactly.
Listen to Gabriel. He'll tell you what's going on. Right?
Hopefully, David Luiz and Gabriel would probably play three at the back. I would want to play three at the back there.
Yeah, but
have two holding midfielders, Partey, and you know what? I want to try El Neni and Partey. It worked in the Europa League, so why can't we play that up in Old Trafford?
And and one thing about having El Neni there is you're not going to get. He's pretty sound in what he can do. He won't go. He won't go outside of his his safe out of his safe house. He's not going to do anything that's risky. So you know what you're going to get. And then with Partey there, hopefully to take whatever pressure off of him. I think that'll be good to see. So I'm thinking a 1-1 tie. I mean, I would like to see a win, but I just would have liked to have seen that build from our previous game. I think
you know what, Gary? We drew 14 games last season. We haven't drawn one yet, so it's probably on the cards to get a draw.
We need to get a point. We need to get a point. Yeah, I mean, when we started the Leicester City game looking like we were trying to get a point, this one I think a point is going to be good. But I think we can actually show that we can do a little bit more than just defend when they get when they mess up.
I'd like to build on what happened tonight and bring one or two of the kids into the team lineup and show a little bit of exuberance in the team. Not the stodgy kind of football we played on Sunday. It was terrible.
Which two are you thinking of?
Joe Willock and maybe Reece Nelson. Play Aubameyang through the middle. Put Nelson on the left. Pepe, maybe not Pepe on the right. Maybe William's going to play on the right. But the Assemble said, if we lose 4 in a row with the tactical decisions he's been making, do you believe Arteta will be under pressure? He will be under pressure, but I think most fans have looked at these 10 games and said, listen, these are very, very difficult games we're playing right now. Things get easier after these 10 games, right? Yeah. So, listen, I think we'll leave it there. Sam, anything?
No, that's a good way to end it, I think.
Yeah. Listen, slap a like on the video if you liked it. I think we had a good podcast here. Big up to everybody. Big up to Gary, Sam, and Alonso for coming in. Tony's without electricity. Hope you get it back soon. Stop wrestling those bears.
Oh no.
Davy Crockett in the wild. And thanks for watching. We'll try and have a pre-game podcast. We'll go live an hour before the kickoff when the teams are announced, and we will be going live half an hour after the game. So we'll see what happens on Sunday. Hopefully we're getting 3 points against the Manchester United. Great Arsenal will get 3 points. So we're out of here. Come on, you Gooners, up the Arsenal. And thanks for watching, everyone. We're into November.
See you guys.